Fire, 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 fire. What this is about? Something bad about every country. Racist edition.
Something bad about every country, in no particular order. Sri Lanka's economy has been collapsing since 2019 thanks to a corrupt government and the evaporation of tourism because of the Big C. They owe about $51 billion to the world and only have about 25 million in the bank.
What? How does that even happen?
Uganda has a terrible water supply thanks to being landlocked and a weirdly booming population. I bet the government will probably help out, but they're probably just waiting for the next Mr. Beast video to drop. Besides,
that's fucked up.
Besides being an F-tier Apex gun, Mozambique has one of the highest birth rates, but also one of the
4.5 per woman? That means the average woman has like 4 kids. Bro!
lowest life expectancies at birth. Good luck, son.
Jesus.
If you have such bad judgment that you find yourself in Honduras, try not to get sick, as they only have 1 doctor per 3,000 people. Take
I was gonna make a joke, but it's slightly political, so I'm not gonna say it. Just know that I thought of it.
the economic approach and just be mugged and left for dead. Freedom of speech and freedom of the press are still restricted in the UAE. Hold anti-government protests like we do in the US and you'll get stoned. Not
Yeah, and women aren't allowed to drive.
the good kind. Iceland has committed some of the worst political atrocities in history.
What?
From purchasing green beans to shooting protected ducks and even
Green bean scandal. Purchase green beans? What?
making rude comments. Over 90% of Gabon is covered in rainforest. The other 10% is covered in AIDS and malaria. When 18th century Serbian villagers experienced anything inexplicably spooky, they blamed the recently deceased, dug them up, and killed them all over again.
Man, I had a Serbian friend when I was growing up, and I thought they were weird. I guess it's like... Yeah, I guess it runs in the blood, huh?
They would call these bodies vampires. The entire country of Lesotho is more than 3,200 feet above sea level, which is pretty high, but not as high as having the world's highest self-deathing rate. Paraguay once lost a war against Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay in the late 1800s. They then doubled down and kept fighting, only to lose over 2/3 of its population in the end. For over 500 years, the tiny island nation of Mauritius traded hands between the Dutch, French, and British, and they all dealt in heavy slave trade. The Swatini is the last absolute monarchy in Africa. Too bad it's still a dirt-poor third-world country. For over a decade, Haiti accounted for over 30% of the Atlantic slave trade, importing 40,000 slaves a year at its height, but then they revolted and won independence. Israel is a huge fan of huge walls, and not a huge fan of neighbors, but not calling out any in particular. Djibouti is one of the funniest named countries in the world. It's also one of the largest destinations for human trafficking. A little less funny now, isn't it? You think the Netherlands looks like this,
funny at all.
but it actually looks more like this. Montenegro translates to Black Mountain, and is in fact not a reference to your friend Monte.
I remember there was a stream, I think it was Savix's stream, where Pilaf is from the Balkans, and he kept saying Montenegro, and he was like... And Savix kept saying, like, are you allowed to say that? He's like, why not? It's a country. And he's like, are you sure? Because he thought I was saying a slur.
Translating to the savior, it's exactly what El Salvador needs, since it has been ranked as having the highest murder rate in the world. 68% of Tanzania's population lived below the poverty line of $1.25 a day. Minimalist YouTubers should take notes. Liechtenstein was the last European country to allow women to vote.
Absolutely based. What? 1984? That's like 60 years after everyone else. Yo, I kind of want to move to Liechtenstein. Like, what the frick? But low-key, chat, I've actually been to Liechtenstein. Yeah. Yeah, I lived near there a long time ago. It's so small that crossing it takes like 2 hours. Yeah, it's legit. Like, it is so small.
1984. Nicaragua has no formal address system. So if you're trying to go anywhere, an address will probably look like third house down from the second left turn after the Taco Bell. Good luck, Amazon drivers. Sweden was a mighty empire in the late 1500s, but then they tried invading Poland. that no one has ever successfully
Big
invaded
mistake.
Poland. Sweden was no longer a mighty empire after that little stunt. Belize has a Bigfoot equivalent called El Sisamito, which runs around killing hunters and ripping off their thumbs.
I thought it was gonna be ripping off their peepees or something.
The country of Chad has a mad sharp jawline. It also has one of the highest mother mortality rates in the world. Malawi's president once sold off a private jet and 35 Mercedes-Benz to raise money for the country's economy. Too bad it has the third poorest economy in the world. Burkina Faso is an African country with the capital of Ouagadougou, which just sounds like it was founded by Adam Sandler. In ancient Italy, the Roman Empire was at its peak in the year 117 AD, or CE. Or whatever. It then did a 360 and fell over in the year 476. The last
More jetpacks.
traces of the Roman Empire can be found across many middle-income shopping areas in the US. Seychelles by the seashore. Even though it's regarded as the Garden of Eden, it's plagued with terrible plastics pollution. Their saving grace is that their iconic sea coconuts are making.
I thought I was gonna get banned. I actually got scared. I thought I was gonna get banned.
Me act up something awful. In 2011,
I actually had a heart attack. My blood froze.
Malta held a record for most people gathered dressed as storybook characters at 453, but then was obliterated by Singapore with 1,560 in 2014. Clearly, neither country has ever heard of or smelled a Comic-Con. Mali was home to the world's richest king, Mansa Musa. Now, it's home to the world's largest mud building. Colombia
cool.
boasts a thriving coffee export, but they also dunk cheese in said coffee and sell you donkey porn on the side of the road.
Man. What? Donkey, what? This is true? My brother dated a Colombian chick a while ago, and she was really crazy. Like, actually, like, she was probably the craziest GF he ever had. Granted, she was really nice to me, but she was really crazy. So, I don't know. Donkey porn? No, it's not donkey. Is it the cocaina that makes them crazy? Loco?
Take your pick. It already sucks enough being a journalist in general, but especially in Eritrea, where it is ranked last in press freedom in the entire world. Tuvalu is a tiny group of islands northeast of Australia with an area of just 10 square miles. Almost no one goes there, so who cares? Give it up for Tuvalu, everybody. Liberia had a crazy civil war from 1989 to 2003.
Liberia.
Over 250,000 lives were lost, with most of the killing performed by child soldiers. Imagine getting
What?
360 no-scoped by a 4-year-old, but IRL. Funerals in the Dominican Republic last a total of 9 days. 3 days of grief, 3 days of silence and reflection, and 3 days of acceptance. Just huck 'em in the ground and move on already. It is.
I mean, that's pretty cool. Yeah. 3 days of acceptance. What does that mean, though? Like, I have accepted that Smugglerana died.
Considered very rude to refuse food or drink in Ukraine. Be sure to take seconds or thirds of all the food that the US is paying for. In 1840.
I was literally about to say, like, yeah, my mom's Ukrainian and she's like that, but like, damn, you really had to stick it in there, huh? Bro, that was cooked as frick, man.
1947, a quarter of Ireland's population kicked the Guinness-soaked bucket due to the infamous Irish potato famine. Potatoes rotted, and the British government was neglectful as usual. A million people died. You know how it is.
Yeah, they didn't
Denmark
care.
is home to some great social welfare programs and a strong education system. Too bad you gotta pay over 50% in taxes for it. The early 1600s was the
I had Danish friends and they always bitched about their taxes. Like, friends as in, like, people I played online with, but yeah. I'd be like, oh, you can go to the doctor, and they're like, yeah, my income's 50%, though. Like, shit, damn, that fucking sucks in a lot of ways.
darkest time in Russia's history, where a famine killed off a third of its population and then a war killed off another half of that.
Yeah.
Good thing Russia's peaceful nowadays, at least. Bhutan used to be in complete isolation until the 1970s, banning any foreigners from entering it. Not that you could really get in anyway, considering it's just friggin' steep-ass mountains everywhere. I won't go into detail about Greece. Pause the video here and look this up. Just don't use a work computer.
In Russian, this is a really naughty word. Yeah, in Russian, that's a really naughty word. It's the same word? Oh no. No, I'm not gonna look it up.
Bangladesh's capital city of Dhaka is ranked one of the worst cities to live in because of insufferable traffic, pollution, and density. Just like any other city, I guess. Guatemala was home to the longest Latin American civil war in history, lasting 36 years.
I actually really like their coat of arms. It has a really cool freaking bird that has a really long tail,
Resulting in 200,000 people getting Guatemala to death. Tragically, there are no guinea pigs in Guinea. It actually really pisses me off. North Macedonia.
Yeah, guinea pigs actually come from South America, not Africa and Guinea.
It used to just be Macedonia, but Greece bullied them into changing the name because a part of Greece is also called Macedonia. I don't know, man. Tunisia has some of the world's most beautiful golden beaches. It also has some of the highest domestic abuse rates. When Fidel Castro took control of Cuba, he destroyed and banned all games of Monopoly. Reports of family arguments plummeted overnight. Zimbabwe.
No, shut up. That's not real. No. Did Fidel Castro ban Monopoly? Oh my god. Wait, what? Yes, Fidel Castro and the Cuban Communist government banned Monopoly in Cuba in 1959. Viewing it as a capitalist values and ordering existing sets to be destroyed. Huh. Wow, I had no idea.
Zimbabwe's economy went through the ringer beginning in 2005. The government printed a $100 trillion bill. In reality, it was only worth about 40 cents. Give it up for inflation.
Woo!
Austria's main exports are automobiles,
Smug bucks.
paper products, and genocidal dictators. So when Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492, he really landed in the Bahamas. He also enslaved almost all of the locals over the next 30 years. Costa Rica is home to a mythical demon monkey called La Mona, which screams at you from the treetops. Before he was...
I actually jumped, bro. I actually jumped. What is this? 2008? We have jump scares on YouTube? Oh my god.
President JFK was marooned on one of the 992 Solomon Islands. He was later rescued by locals only to be murdered by his own government. The island was later named Kennedy Island. China is... But I gotta say, he does look like him. Saint Vincent and the Grenadines sounds like the name of a shitty band. In reality, it's just a group of shitty Caribbean islands. I guarantee no one from Burundi will see this video because only 3% of its population has internet access. It's ranked as the poorest country in the world. Comment below if you're from Burundi. Turkmenistan is home to the Gates of Hell, a natural gas crater that has been burning since the 1980s. Probably why it's one of the least visited countries in the world. Cameroon is home to over 2,000 different ethnic groups and almost zero rights for women.
You know, it's funny, there's so many places in the world that have so many issues with women's rights or that we don't have enough of it, but then I have to think to myself, you want to complain about having no rights in America as a woman, as a white woman? Maybe we should send you a ticket over there and have you live there for like a day. Yeah, like really, just to visit. I'm not saying like permanently relocate them. Go and visit what it's actually like to have no rights.
Buttholes in Nepal decided to be the only country in the world to not have a rectangular flag, but I guess that makes sense for a country that still uses the caste system. The country of Panama prioritizes use of freshwater reserves for the needs of the Panama Canal rather than the needs of farmers. Can't eat boats, fellas. Or can you? In 1800s Portugal, Diogo Alves killed a total of 76 people by pushing them off of a 200-foot ledge over the Aguas Libres aqueduct. He was caught and sentenced to death by hanging in 1840. Côte d'Ivoire, also called the Ivory Coast, is the world's largest producer of cocoa beans through child slave labor.
No! No! I remember I had to learn about free trade chocolate when I was in like middle school. Yeah, I started buying chocolate that was only labeled like, what is it called? Like free trade? Well, not free trade. It's like a special label, special label where it's like fair trade. Yeah, not free trade. Sorry, fair trade. I'm stupid. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of changed my outlook on things. Fair trade is also a scam. I'm not gonna get into it. I'm not gonna get one guide. 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 Thank you, chatter. Yes, it's better than them actually being, like, slaved. Yes. Yeah, I'll say it. It's better than nothing. It's better than buying Nestle, okay? I'll say it. I'm not one person to be like, oh my god, you should stop buying Nestle. I get it, it's cheap. Like, it's cheap for a reason.
Yeah. You can taste the sweat and tears in every bite. Yeah, Borat's homeland of Kazakhstan is a real country. Here, you can play the ancient game of Kokpar, where two men fight over a headless goat corpse on horseback.
What?
Real fun stuff. Being a nation of islands, the Maldives will be one of the first to get wiped out when sea levels eventually rise.
Yay!
But look at the turtles! Dominica's economy heavily relies on agriculture. This wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for all the hurricanes that just outright obliterate crops annually. One of the most popular and rapidly growing internet communication platforms was founded in Estonia. That's right, Skype.
I mean, we all used it. I thought Skype came from, like, Finland. No, that was Nokia or something. Yeah, no way! Skype? Yeah, thanks to you, I got fucking DDoSed, man.
Everyone uses Skype. In 1991, Mount Pinatubo erupted in the Philippines, sending 10 billion metric tons of magma into the air and shifting global temperatures by 1 degree. But I have to use a paper straw, right? St. Kitts and Nevis was almost always home to tobacco and sugar plantation slaves until it was abolished in 1834. Oh yeah, and Alexander Hamilton was born here. In Oman, you're not allowed to spend more than 10% of your monthly earnings on alcohol, so when you try and fail, you'll be standing there like, oh man. Some Malayan citizens visit graveyards at night, providing offerings to the dead in hopes of receiving winning lottery numbers. Syria is home to some of humanity's oldest structures in the world. Some of these remains and ruins have survived over 7,000 years, only to get blown up by extremist groups.
That sucks.
Famous Grammy award-winning singer Angelique Kidjo was born in Benin. Oh, you never heard of her? Yeah, me neither. St. Lucia apparently has a pretty bad police brutality problem, so best avoid going there if you want to commit crimes. You probably just get what you deserve. Nauru is another one of them tiny island nations like Tuvalu. Although it's so tiny,
Nauru is one of the fattest islands on the planet. Yeah, we watched a video about that, didn't we, chat? Yeah.
It is the fattest nation in the world with 88.5% of its adult population classified as obese. They've also never won an Olympic gold medal.
That's where you came from. You know what? You're getting timed out for that. You are not allowed to type, you piece of shit. For 5 minutes! Think about what you did!
I wonder why. Turkey has some strange customs with babies, from covering newborns in salt in order to give them resistance bonuses to placing a turtle under their pillows at night for protection. Muslims in Brunei are forbidden from marrying outside of their own religion. It's a crime punishable by death. I do, more like I die. Anyway, it's a holiday in Cambodia. It's tough, kid, but it's life. It's a holiday in Cambodia. Don't forget to pack a wife. Madagascar supplies 80% of the world's vanilla. Unfortunately, there are no talking animals like certain movies would have you believe. If you're a bad boy or girl, you can still be legally executed by firing squad in Indonesia. So think twice before you commit murder or...
Wait, what? Oh my god, that's awful. Wait, you can get firing squad as a kid? That's fucked up. I don't know how I feel about that. Jesus.
Decided to go into drug trafficking while touring the country.
Oh
Palestine is the main reason why Israel is such a huge fan of walls. Also, people have been telling me about a free Palestine, but for the life of me, I can't find where to claim it. Micronesia is a slightly smaller Nesia than Indonesia. It's not uncommon for school children to be kidnapped in Nigeria. Since 2020, over 1,000 students have been abducted and held for ransom. At least it's a good excuse for not doing your homework. Yemen is home to the Well of Hell, a sinkhole that local legends claim is home to a head-stealing djinn. Turns out it's just home to snakes, crocodiles, but no Robin Williams genie. On
Aw.
average, each Luxembourg citizen over 15 years old smokes over 6,300 cigarettes a year. And they're only the world's second heaviest smokers, right behind Andorra. North
Wow, why do they smoke so much in Luxembourg? What the frick?
Korea is best Korea.
Oh, I know why. Because they're probably like, they speak French, don't they, over there? Yeah!
South Africa is home to a bunch of bums because it currently has the highest unemployment rate in the world at 29.8%. For comparison, the US rate is 3.7% as of this video. Mexico. America's pants. Stay in the tourist areas or the next time your
Mexico.
family sees you will be in a live leak video. In 2018, Venezuela experienced a 65,000% inflation rate. $1 is about 3.6 million.
Fun fact, RuneScape gold was more valuable than Venezuelan gold, and people actually lived off of that. Yeah, Venezuelan gold farmers lived off of that. Cause it wasn't worth it. It was more worth it to farm gold in RuneScape. Yeah, look it up. It's real. I'm not making this up. This is not an exaggeration. People in Venezuela started farming gold on RuneScape because of that crash. Granted, before that crash, it wasn't great either, but it was definitely like a big contributing factor. Not really a fun fact. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's bad. How does it even happen? Basically, they'd become gold farmers, and then, like, the $60,000 was from, like, or 60,000 times the inflation rate was, like, from the corrupt government, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was from the corruption, from the politicians. And they had, like, a big lockdown and shit.
Venezuelan bolivares. Bahrain is home to the world's largest underwater theme park. The downside? Not a single water slide. Just a big dumb plane to explore. You can't fly that thing down there. Senegal was once the largest slave trading center on the African coast from the 15th to 19th centuries, and as such is one of the biggest cases of friendly fire in history. Jamaica is a very superstitious country. There's all kinds of local legends ranging from ghosts that steal your voice to an enraged flaming bull that chases you for being out late at night. Germany. Uruguay has been consistently rated as the safest country in South America.
Look, I'ma say it. All countries have done something bad, okay? Germans, it's okay. You're not. It's been a long time. It's okay. You can come out. It's all right.
In terms of violent crimes. But that also means that it's the most expensive to live in. Safety comes with a price. Bolivia was home to the greatest lake in the world, Lake Pupo. Tragically, it has fallen victim to climate change and completely dried up. Is driving your gas-guzzling car worth the loss of Lake Pupo?
Yes.
I think not.
Pupo can die.
Moldova is Europe's poorest country. With an average GDP per capita of only $4,551, it's no wonder why all of their smart, hardworking youngings are fleeing the country for better opportunities.
Oh my god!
If you plan on proposing to a loved one...
Wait! Is Moldova the poorest country in the world? What? It is one of the poorest countries in Europe. Oh, I was just to say, there's no shot. In the world, not Europe. Oh, he said Europe. My bad. Sorry. Sorry, he said it really fast. I didn't hear it. My bad. That's still really fucking fucked up.
Try not to purchase a blood diamond from Sierra Leone. It could end up costing someone an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
The previous leader of Suriname, Desi Bouterse, was the military commander during a coup in the 1980s. He was arrested for drug trafficking, served 11 years, and was then elected president for 10 years before being subsequently arrested again for murdering 15 political opponents. He's a real one. Alright guys, we're about halfway through. I hope you're remembering to stay hydrated. If not, here's your water break. Hydration. Alright, that's enough. Lebanon has a crazy garbage crisis that makes even Los Angeles look sterile by comparison. Environmentalists have tried different cleanups, but the crisis remains, well, a crisis. For example, in this image alone, you can
Is this supposed to be a beach?
See all of my online gaming teammates. Despite being a group of islands, Cape
Trash.
Verde is one of the driest countries in Africa. In the 20th century, severe droughts and famine caused the death of 200,000 people. Ah, Rwanda. If you're in your 20s, you probably
Yeah, you never hear about that, huh?
remember learning about the Rwandan genocide at school. In 1994, nearly 1 million people were slaughtered during the Rwandan Civil War. The only reason you know the capital of Thailand is because your friend punched you in the balls shortly after telling you. Somalians are huge fans of pasta, thanks to years of colonization by Italy. Australia is home to over
Wait, that's actually really funny. Of all things, pasta? Why not pizza?
2,400 species of spider. Arachnophobes? Stay away. In 1997, Ecuador had their first female president, Rosalia Arteaga. Before being forced to resign, she served her country for 2 whole days. Singapore has some crazy laws. Here's a few of them. Walk around your house naked, chew gum, smoke, steal Wi-Fi, sing in public, feed pigeons, not flush a toilet, urinate in public, drink alcohol after 10 p.m., or be gay. It's also illegal to unalive yourself, though I'm not sure how they'd arrest you for that.
You also can't distribute corn. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, you're not allowed to have gum. They banned gum in like, I think it was like 2001 or some shit.
If you want to name your child in Hungary, you're restricted to a list of approved names. Instead of torturing your child with a dumb name,
Maybe
you can
earlier,
instead
I don't
grant your
know.
child a meaningful name such as Zev or Nullifer or Nurbanu or even
Nurbanu.
Tablachka. Over the past 20
Tabachka! What the fuck? What? Tablachka! What a stupid name. Tablachka.
years, Trinidad and Tobago have seen an exponential rise in violent crimes, mostly against women. Come on guys, beat your meat, not a woman.
You heard the man, start beating your meat.
In 1983, Sudan enforced Sharia law, subsequently banning all alcohol. The entire country's alcohol stock was dumped into the Nile River, so at least the crocodiles got lit. The national dish of Peru is called koi. It's just a whole roasted guinea pig.
Yeah!
Saudi Arabia
Yeah, that's where guinea pigs come from. Yep, that's true.
is one of the world's top executioners, performing 196 public executions in 2022, right behind Iran's 576 and China's unknown thousands. Azerbaijan is known as the Land of Fire because of frequent spontaneously combusting mountainside natural gas leaks. The Marshall Islands got completely dunked on when serving as a nuclear bomb
Oh
test
yeah, bikini! Look, bikini bottom!
site in the 40s and 50s.
That's
The
where
islands are
Bao's
riddled with
from.
bomb blast buttholes. The Central African Republic has been in a complete shit show ever since gaining independence in 1960. Constant coups, internal conflict, and the like make this country a no-go. Antigua and Barbuda are 2 more dumbass islands among other
Barbados.
dumbass islands in the dumb shit Caribbean, meaning it probably had slaves and was visited by pirates at some point. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, like most African countries, doesn't have a pretty past. The entire population was violently enslaved under the Belgian crown to farm and harvest rubber from trees.
Belgians.
Africa really got the short end of the stick in history. There's a lot of things you're not
Belgians.
allowed to bring into Uzbekistan. This includes, but is definitely not limited to,
I wonder
Monaco is the
why.
wealthiest country in the world with over 30% of its population being millionaires. Sounds impressive until you realize that the entire country can fit in Central Park in New York with a population of 38,000 people.
What? I thought it was way bigger than that. That's insane!
There are at least 1.5 million cats that live in Cyprus, which means they way outnumber the amount of people. This is actually not a negative fact, unless you're allergic to cats. You're completely
That's a cool
SOL if you
fact.
have a toothache in Morocco. There's only one dentist for every 800,000 residents. Sounds like it's time to break out the pliers and do it yourself.
Pixel, is this true? That's false! That's false! Alright, resident Moroccan said so. This is false.
Besides being the best country in the
Propaganda.
world, the United States is also the greatest country in the
Yeah,
world.
Pixel, show your teefies.
Togo is an African country. I'll give you a wild guess what thing might have happened there. If you're a masochist, you can voluntarily spend the night in the Karasta prison hotel in Latvia, where you can be interrogated, punished, and harassed as you sleep in a cold cell. Niger was the country you were terrified to pronounce at
That's
school,
just mod roleplay.
while some other kids were oddly excited to. Angola, Africa.
There's a clip of a VTuber that we like. Yeah, Komachi Panko, and she didn't know how to say that word. And she accidentally said the bad word. She speaks Italian first and not... Yeah. Yeah, she said the bad word. She said the gamer word.
African country.
She said it in the Italian way. Did she? Well, at any rate, she speaks Italian first and English second. And she... people clipped it out of context. It sounds like the gamer word.
Slaves. Guyana was home to Jonestown, a lovely little town which had a sudden population decrease from 918 to 0 in a
The Jonestown Massacre? Yeah, that was terrible.
matter of a few hours. They drank the Flavor Aid and committed self-die in the name of Christian socialism. Vanuatu is a group of South Pacific islands, huge fans of cannibalism, with the last known case occurring in 1969. According to Vanuatu cooking practices, humans take 3 to 5 hours to cook.
Good to know. If I ever need to eat the chatters, I'll know now.
Still no guinea pigs in Guinea-Bissau, just citizens living off of less than $2 a day. Slovakia is home to the world's tallest cave column, which spans 112 feet high. How boring of a country do you have to be where this is a notable fact? If you want to learn about Samoa, you first have to consider the coconut, and consider its tree. Also take into consideration Samoa's high obesity and heart disease rate.
Thanks to America.
In New Zealand, sheep outnumber people 7 to 1.
True. Actually true. Yep, lived there.
Be cautious. You never know when you're being watched by a sheep.
Every single park that basically exists has like sheep in it that they let people basically graze on there. Yeah.
Bosnia and Herzegovina is a single country but sucks as much as two. It's got some of the worst air pollution in Europe, high unemployment, and over 200,000 active landmines in walkable areas.
What?
The only thing booming here are your legs. We all know South Korea is the better Korea. I could watch those Korean street food videos all the time.
Oh, me too.
Oh wait, something bad. In general, they're pretty racist towards outsiders. Because of this, South Korea is one of the least diverse countries in the world. There's a town in Mongolia named after you.
Now, is that a bad thing? Considering Johnny Somali? Yeah, I don't know.
Sadly, it's pronounced maroon, but that ruins the joke.
Moron?
Libya used to have the world's most boring flag. Then after overthrowing its dictator, they added some pizzazz with the symbol from Link's mirror shield for some reason. Must be huge Ocarina of Time fans.
Yeah.
Barbados. Caribbean island.
Barbados.
Pirates and slaves. Oh yes, but white slaves too. Enemies of the British Crown were sometimes sent to Barbados to live as indentured servants.
Mostly Irish. Man, the Irish get the short end of the stick everywhere, man.
Czech Republic and
That
Slovakia
sucks.
used to be Czechoslovakia, but got divorced in 1993 to find new identities for themselves, leaving behind 15 million disgruntled children. If you ever
My parents still call it Czechoslovakia for some reason. Yeah, we have a Czech mod, and I kept saying Czechoslovakia on accident, and he's like, that hasn't been a thing since before I was born. And I said, I had to keep saying I'm sorry, because my parents always called it Czechoslovakia. My dad still calls Yugoslavia Russia. Yes, my dad too. Like, my parents grew up then, right? So, like, they knew that was, like, what it was back in the day. And I'm like, oops. Like, I guess because they said it, I guess it's cemented in my fucking brain.
visit the tiny island nation of Palau, you are required to sign an eco-pledge promising to be a good little boy or girl and not to cram straws directly down a leatherback sea turtle's gullet.
Wow.
Qatar hosted the 2022 World Cup. It cost the country $220 billion and 6,500 migrant workers' lives. All that to host one of the most boring sports in the world. East Timor, or Timor-Leste, declared independence from Portugal in 1975. It was then invaded by Indonesia 9 days later and sustained a 24-year period of violence and resistance, resulting in the death of over 250,000 people, or a third of the country's population. The Caribbean island nation of Grenada was invaded by the US in 1983 to stop Cuban influence and rescue US students who were studying on the island. The Comoros Islands off the coast of Africa have experienced over 20 coups since its independence from France in 1975. Speaking of France, you can get legally married to a dead person there. The practice of
Why am I not surprised?
necrogamy was started back in 1803 as a way for women to marry their fallen soldier boyfriends. This allowed the weeping widows to become a beneficiary of their dearly departed's military pension. This way, both husband and wife end up getting the bag. In 2004, the monarchy of
That was a terrible pun.
Tonga sued their court jester, Jesse Bogdanoff, a Bank of America financial advisor, for mismanaging over $14 million of the king's money on bad investments.
What?
Something Wall Street Bets joke. Brazil had
my
a
God.
record-breaking 59,000 murders in 2017,
Brazil, número uno, let's go.
with only 8% of them resulting in any legal consequence. Ethiopia is home to the cruelest place on earth, the Danakil Depression, which is the country's lowest and hottest region. But don't try to cool off in these pools. They
It's
are highly
hot.
acidic water pools rich in salt, sulfur, and iron, so
Yep.
you'll just end up turning into soup. Although Croatia
Tasty.
is stunningly gorgeous, it has the worst waste management system in Europe. Countries in the European Union recycle roughly 40% of their waste on average. Croatia is in the dumps at just 8%. Finland recently changed its Air Force insignia. Now it looks like this, but back when it was founded in 1918, it looked like this. Keep in mind that the swastika is an ancient symbol of good luck used across many different cultures,
True.
until some German buttholes tarnished the image. In
True,
Arabic,
very
Iraq
true.
means fertile.
Took him a while. Yeah.
In India, more people have mobile phones than access to a toilet, so be sure to watch where you step.
I watched a documentary on some really rural village in India where they were trying to integrate toilets into their society, and specifically in a very, very like rural village there was a marriage and they tried to offer a dowry for the wife, and it was like a really nice toilet, and they ended up destroying it and they didn't want it. And I'm not even making this shit up, it's real. Like it's like a 20-year-old documentary, and it was like in the middle of bumfuck nowhere in India somewhere in a village. Yeah, like they gave him a dowry of a toilet, and they installed it, and then they destroyed it like 2 weeks later.
Since 1389, Armenians have experienced 17 different massacres, with the Armenian genocide of 1915 being the worst, resulting in around 1.2 million Armenian deaths. Tour guides in Tajikistan
Oh my
used to scam
God.
tourists by charging them for Yeti sighting tours in remote valleys.
Okay, but you kind of deserve that. If you think you're gonna see a Yeti in Tajikistan and you get fleeced like that, I honestly think you kind of deserved it.
Though no Yetis were ever found. Papua
Yeah.
New Guinea? No, son. No Guinea here. Just people practicing black magic. 50 to 150 witches are executed each year. Spooky. Ladies, do your best to avoid Afghanistan, as it's ranked worst in the world for gender equality. While there's no female heroes, 90% of the world's heroin is produced here. Although Zambia is home to some of Africa's most beautiful landscapes, the city of Kabwe is one of the world's most polluted cities, stemming from decades of lead mining and smelting. Over 100,000 people
my
have
God.
reportedly suffered from lead poisoning around the town. Ghana,
Life.
another African country, more slavery, but the first to gain independence from colonists. Slaves broke their backs for centuries in Egypt so that we could have the absolute banger that is the Prince of Egypt. In Kuwait, you can bet on camel racing.
Vietnam!
Oh, that isn't surprising.
Vietnam, let's go! Woo!
Well, how about camels controlled by robots? Yeah, much more interesting now, isn't it? Robots are really taking all of the jobs. Not just a state in the US, the country of Georgia slopped out the tyrannical maniac Joseph Stalin. Something that not many Georgians are proud of. Meet Chatletics,
True.
my Mauritania-locked ultimate Iron Man.
I fucking knew it, man. I knew he was gonna make this joke.
Oh, wrong Mauritania. If you speak out against Gambia's corrupt
Mauritania!
government, you might find yourself kidnapped and thrown in a pit. Talk shit, get the pit. Kiribati is a group of Pacific islands. With a mean elevation of just 6 feet above sea level, it'll probably become one of the first victims of climate change. Spain is home to a plethora of nudist beaches, which sounds great in theory until you see the people that actually go to these nudist
Yeah, they're just old people.
beaches. Greenland is the perfect place if you hate neighbors, since it's the least densely populated country in the world with only 5 people per 100 square miles. Kyrgyzstan is just mountains, so I hope you like mountains. Sadly, there's still no guinea pigs, even in Equatorial Guinea. It's for the best though, cause they would probably just have to submit to the brutal authoritarian government. The Vatican City is the smallest country in the world, even though it's just a city. The Pope lives there, and that's bad enough. Although, it's gotta be said, it would make a pretty sweet GTA map. Iran experienced an unprecedented socio-economic surge thanks to the White Revolution in the 1960s and 1970s. Free education, increased healthcare, extreme distribution of wealth to the working class, infrastructure reform, expansion of women's rights, and so much more. It just sucks that all of the religious nuts took over and turned it into the less than ideal place it is today. Iran absolutely fumbled the bag on this one. Canada is America's hat, and boy do they love clubbing seals to death. Chile was home to Augusto Pinochet, one of the world's bloodiest dictators. He took power in 1973 and kidnapped, tortured, and killed thousands. But since it was in the name of fighting communism, world leaders were just like, Slovenia. It's boring as shit. The Republic of the Congo is not the Democratic Republic of the Congo. In fact, it is 100% less democratic, but has the same amount of Ebola. If you didn't have malaria upon entering Kenya, you probably do now. Laos is considered the most bombed country in the world after the US dropped over 270 million cluster bombs during the secret war in the 60s and 70s. Over 80 million remain on the ground, still active. South Sudan. It's like Sudan, but with a cowboy hat.
Yeah,
Lithuania was...
There's a lot of Laotians in America, too. Yeah! America bombed the shit out of them, and then they moved here. Yeah. A lot of Laotians in America.
Once a world superpower, until it got top rope elbow dropped by Russia in 1655 and finished off by plague and famine. Now Lithuania just chills. Yep. Norway is home to many beautiful animals, like whales. Oh yeah, Norway leads the world in whaling.
But they're so tasty!
San Marino is a tiny country state in Italy. However, there's not a single Olive Garden to be seen. Guess what? There's guinea pigs in Argentina.
Yep.
While in Pakistan, try not to express any non-Muslim religious beliefs, or else you might catch yourself in prison on blasphemy charges. Religious freedom ain't too good there. The people of Belarus are pretty superstitious. For example, don't whistle in someone's house or you'll—
Oh my god, I hated this. As soon as I left my fucking family's house, I started whistling. My parents unironically believed this fucking stupid superstition. Every time I whistled, my mom and dad would tell me to fuck off. Or like putting boots on the table or a chair or anything like that. Yeah, I don't get it.
Blow all of their money away. To mark the end of winter, the people of Poland burn and drown a doll of Marsana, the Slavic goddess of winter and death. The African country of Botswana is 70% desert, 5% elephants, and 25% AIDS. The small African islands of Sao Tome and Principe are major transit points for heroin trafficking. Consisting of mostly desert, only 0.9% of Namibia's land is able to be used for farming, so they have to rely on imports to feed the population. Romania is home to some of Europe's last remaining virgin forests in the Carpathian Mountains. Virgin nerds! Besides exporting crisp, clean water, Fiji used to be known as the Cannibal Islands, with the Fijian chief Ratu Udre Udre holding the record for most humans ever eaten.
Ooh,
he is known to have eaten almost 1,000 humans in his lifetime. Algeria is Africa's largest country, but only 12% of its landmass is populated because the rest is just stupid desert. Yeah, so a lot of those slavery-ridden African countries I mentioned, the UK might have had something to do with that. They also think this is food. Bulgaria is the most unhappy country in the European Union according—
Yeah, I think we have some Bulgarians in the chat that have confirmed this for us. They're very unhappy.
to a 2019 survey, scoring just 4.8 out of 10 on the happiness scale. Portugal was second at 6.2. Although Germany is mostly blamed for the violence in World War II, don't forget that Japan invaded China and murdered over 20 million Chinese people using—
Dude, they were war hungry as all shit.
The 3 alls policy.
Crazy.
Kill all, burn all, and loot all.
Yep.
But anime is cool, I guess.
Yeah,
Albania
we forgot
officially
about it,
banned all
though.
religious practices in 1967 until the fall of communism in 1991. King Leopold II of Belgium absolutely devastated the Congo. He claimed the territory as his own property and worked it to the bone, collapsing its population by half due to starvation and exhaustion. Belgians are not too proud of their late monarch. In Switzerland in the 19th and 20th centuries, over 500,000 poor children were taken from their families and forced into farm labor. These children were called Waisenkinder, or contract children.
Yep.
The Swiss government officially said, "Oh,
Weldenkinder. Yep. They don't like talking about it either. I learned about it after I lived there. Yeah, that's how farming culture also boomed a lot.
my bad," in 2013, so that's nice at least. Myanmar is
Yeah.
currently undergoing a civil
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how that happened, huh? But they made Swiss chocolate, so that's great. Yeah.
war since 2021 with over 44,000 casualties so far. But since TikTok hasn't told white women to start protesting it,
Alana, were you one of those? No, I wasn't born there. You had to be like born there, I'm pretty sure.
yet, you probably have never heard of it. Besides being the hardest song on Guitar Hero 2, Jordan is a Middle Eastern country currently experiencing one of the worst droughts in history.
Oh my god.
Everyone please send Jordan a soggy envelope of water to show support. So,
Okay.
that's every country in the world. Please tell me in the comments how I'm wrong and how your country is great, and I'll go, well, see ya.
And that's okay. And that's okay. That was great. That was a lot of fun. I like yapping, talking with you guys about stuff.